Alrighty, welcome back, boys and girls. It's your main math man, Mr. Shank, coming to you live from Mayfield. And in this video, we're going to be working on Monday warm-up for ourselves. And it says, solve the following equation and then check your solution using that Desmos Calculator. And so you always want to be, anytime you see that equal sign, you want to make sure you can write down those three letters. And what do those three letters stand for? Well, it simply stands for this. We want to make sure that we can use the distributive property. We want to combine like terms and manipulate the variable, or just say the multiplicative inverse property. And what that's saying is you want to make sure that this is the order of almost like the order operations for your equations. So that means that we want to distribute first. And so again, to refresh ourselves, we can bust that little box. Again, we are multiplying these together. So I'm saying I'm going to multiply these two together. And so I have positive 7 times a positive 2x. That is a positive 14x. And then a positive 7 times a positive 4. That's going to be a positive 28. And so again, I just write that below those parentheses. So anytime I see those parentheses, I want to make sure that I'm multiplying each of the inside terms by the outside amount, or that coefficient. And so again, I can write this below it. So all I'm going to very simply have is that 14x plus 28 minus 6x equals 36. And so we can kind of cross out this distributive property as that is what we just did. So we can cross that one out as we just did it. Okay, so now we want to combine like terms. And that also includes we want to work on one side of the equation first, and then we can get all the variables on one side and then all the constants on the other. So let's see if we can do that. So let's combine like terms. So I'm going to highlight some like terms. So these are our variable terms. We have that positive 14x, and we have that negative 16, or excuse me, that negative 6x. We can combine those two together, and so again, that's going to give us 8x. And now we want to make sure that we can get all of the constants on the other side. So since all the variables on this left side here, we know we can now do our inverse operation. So whatever I do to one side, I got to be able to do the other. So I'm going to subtract 28 from the left side and from the right side. So subtract 28 from both sides of the equation. On the left side, this cancels out. The 8x comes down, so I have 8x and then equals 8. So now that I have, a variable term equals value, I know that my combine like terms step is done. And so now I'm just down to the multiplicative inverse. That's just every time you want to manipulate the variable, you're trying to get, a variable. I'm trying to get it so a variable equals a value. I know that's poorly written, but as long as you're understanding that idea, you're all right. So we're just trying to get 1x equals a value. So let's kind of see what we can do. Well, since our coefficient is 8, again, that's what we divide by. So you always divide both sides by the coefficient. So we divide both sides by 8, and we end up with 1x equals 1. Again, to check our answer, you can use that Desmos Calculator, which I have done already. And so to make it a little bit bigger so you guys can see. So, all right, let's see. So again, you type in the one side of the equation. So I typed in 7 times quantity 2x plus 4 minus 6x. And we're seeing, okay, if we type in x equals 1, we should end up with this value here. So again, originally that has like an orange or blue triangle on it. That says you have to define what that variable is, which is where you get that second step in. So you want to make a new line, type in what your answer is, and you are able to check it like so. On the second one, it has same idea. And so we want to, again, have our DCM up in the corner for ourselves. That way we know what to do first. So we're going to distribute first. So we're going to do our -5 times 2x, that's a negative 10x. Then we do negative 5 times 3 is a negative 15. So again, different signs, it ends up being a negative. So again, we can write this expression right below where we had the parentheses. And so we're going to have negative 10x minus 15 plus 2x plus 7. Again, you want to make sure you can combine like terms. So I'm going to combine my variable terms together. So I have a negative 10x and a positive 2x. And then I can also combine a negative 15 and a positive 7. Again, you want to work, if you can combine like terms on one side first, you always want to do that first. So let's see, what does this result in? So I have a negative 10x and a positive 2x. Again, you can draw that picture for yourself, or if you can simplify carefully, should end up with a negative 8x and then minus 8. And so that's all on one side of the equation. Again, that negative 24 comes down. And so we're back to that simple two-step. So we did, we did our distributive property. We're combining like terms. We want to get it so all the variables are on one side, which we have, and we want to get all the constants on the other. So let's add the opposite to both sides. So add 8 to both sides. Again, this cancels out. And so what are we left with? Well, we should have a negative 8x equals a negative 16. All right, so combine like term step is done. You can cross that out. Always divide by that coefficient. So since our coefficient is negative 8, that's what we're going to divide both sides by. And we should end up with that x equals 2. Again, to be able to check for ourselves, I can bust out the Desmos Calculator. And so you type in exactly how it looks. So you have negative 5 times quantity 2x plus 3, and you have plus 2x plus 7. And so again, it's going to have a little triangle here, but you want to make sure you can type in the next line what you think your answer is. And you can kind of see if it doesn't equal the correct thing, you know you messed up.